Thank you very much, Fatima. Okay, so just like Fatima already introduced already, my name is Folorunso Ajala, and I'm a data analytics engineer. Currently work at Honest Data, and also part of the program lead at Data Click Educational Hub, where we do community service, where we do learning and what, just like the way the Kenya user group is also, to learn together, to share knowledge together. And when it comes to experience, at least over the years, I've acquired a quite number of certification around Microsoft's Power Platform, Power BI, Fabric Analytical Engineering, Analytical Data Engineer Associate Certificate, and also Databricks as well. And one thing for me is that it's not just about certification. You can acquire certification and you might not really know what you have done with it. But over the years, I've worked in a quite number of industry, working around marketing. Sorry, please, can you guys hear me? Please, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have worked in various industry, telecommunication, telecommunication, marketing, and even banking industry as well. And I've trained over 2,000 people over the years around Microsoft Fabric, SQL, Microsoft Office tools, and some other advanced technologies as well. And like I said, also, I'm also part of the co-organizer of Data Quick Educational Hub as well. So I think that is just the little brief about me. And I would also like to know everyone on this platform as well. I would like to know everyone on this platform, but because of time, I might not be able to, meet everyone one after the other. So probably you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can also connect with me on Twitter. So just type Folorunso Ajala on LinkedIn or on Twitter, Folorunso Ajala, so we can connect together over there. And you can connect. So if you have any questions, after the session, you can always reach out to me. So nice to connect with everyone here. So let's move on to the business of today. Okay, so today I'm very sure that a quite number of us we are familiar with Power Query already. We know Power Query in Power BI, and Power Query functions, in most of Microsoft's tools. Like in Azure, we have Power Query. In Azure, we have Power Query. In Power BI, we have Power Query. Even in Excel, we have Power Query. And even in the latest Microsoft tools, Microsoft Data Analytics Unified Platform, which is Microsoft Fabric, we also have Power Query there. So when you learn Power Query here today, it is not just you learning it in Power BI alone. You can take the knowledge to any of the Microsoft tools that you are used to, either Excel, whether Microsoft Fabric, whether Azure, or anywhere, even in the Power Platform, you can make use of the Power Query custom function there. So today we'll be looking at why Power Query, why are we using Power Query, and what are M code, and what are parameters as well. So for this section, we'll be focusing on some function or some M code. We are not going to be covering everything on M code because we have a lot of M code functions. So we'll just be looking at some specific M code function that we can use in our day-to-day activities that can actually help us, when we are doing tasks, right? So those are the things that we're going to be looking at. So some of the benefits of M code is that it can help you to it helps in customize logic beyond the user interface. You understand? It can also help us to to automate repetitive tasks. And when it comes to handling large data sets, M code can also, or M function or custom M function can also help us to do that. Then parameter as well. The advantage of parameter is that sometimes, when you want to filter, you want to modify your data dynamically. So parameter can also help. When it comes to reducing memory usage, sometimes, most of the time when we create reports, and sometimes your report can take up to like 20 minutes before it loads and all. So instead of loading the entire data into your Power BI, or probably you use direct query, or instead of loading the entire data, most of the time when we are using import mode. That is when we always encounter slow performance and all. So we can actually use parameters to reduces the data that we are loading into the Power BI memory or whichever platform we are using. You understand? So you can use parameter as well. So those are the things that this M code and the parameter um, can actually do, and we also look at them in a more practical way. So we also look at them in a more practical way. Please, I just want to get confirmation that you can still hear me clearly. Fatima, am I still audible?
Yes, you're
Oh,
audible.
okay, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so like I said earlier, for the M code or for the custom function that we'll be looking at today, that we'll be learning together today. So this class should be an interactive section. It shouldn't just be only me teaching. I will ask questions when it is time so that, just to understand how we are engaging each other. Okay, so one of the first things that we'll be looking at is automating file loading. How can we automate loading a file into the Power Query using M code, right? So mostly, most of the time, what majority of us know is to use maybe folder paths and all. So today, I'm going to show you another dimension, different perspective on how you can, bring your folder file into the Power Query using this M code or custom function. So that's the first thing. Automating file loading. That's the first thing we will look at. Then we also look at okay. So then we also look at dynamic table filtering. So the reason why we are doing some of these functions is because they are very, very important because sometimes you might be working with a very large data set. I think in the past, in my previous experiences and all, I have worked with data that is close to about 500 million rows, close to a billions of data, right? So sometimes when we are trying to do some querying, it takes a longer time. And it's not as if that stakeholders want to see the entire report or they want to see the entire data. They might just want to see, specific data as at some, maybe as at last month or as at last year or as at maybe for a specific period of time. So instead of you bringing the entire data or querying the entire data from your database, we can use something like filtering. Normally, if you know how to write SQL, you can use something like filtering. But what we are going to be doing today is that we will see how we can make use of M code or custom function to filter database data without writing any SQL code. Maybe for some people that don't know how to write SQL. Anyway, I'm not encouraging you not to know SQL, but just in case you don't know how to write SQL and you are given the chance to connect to a database and you want to filter the database, you want to reduce the number of data you are breaking into Power Query, we're also going to use M code to also see how we can achieve that. Okay, so the last thing we'll be looking at from the custom function is the dynamic calculated column. So how can you perform calculation? Probably, for example, now you have a product table, and the product table have maybe let's say retail price, which is your selling price, and you also have cost price. So now let's say that because due to the economy change, things have changed, and maybe your manager now said, okay, Fatima, we are going to increase the prices of our product, probably the product retail price, or let's say the product cost is going to change by 20%, right? So now you want to, and it might change this month, maybe because due to what is happening this month, and next month again, your boss told you that the price has changed, maybe it has gone higher or it has come lower. Now we don't want to be creating a lot of transformation processes, right? So what we are going to do is that we are going to create a custom function that can help us to create a kind of calculation that going forward you don't even need to be, what you just need to do is to change the logic behind maybe the figures behind the numbers that you want to calculate. So we can see at the end of the day how the M code custom function is going to play a very good role when we want to achieve some of these tasks that I mentioned, like dynamic calculation, filtering, and auto file loading. Then we also look at the parameter. How parameter also play a very good role in in enhancing our data or our report as well. So we also look at that. Okay, so I think this is where I will stop for the presentation, and let's go into the main business, which is the technical part, to see how things how we can actually do all these things and not just talking. We are not a talkative, so we will have to do the demo session to see how all these things can actually how we can use it in real life, or how we can demo it in whenever we are working, whether for organization or when you are doing your personal project as well. So I'm going to open my Power BI. Please confirm you can still hear me and I'm still audible, Fatima, and every other person. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. So let's open Power BI. Okay. I'm going to click on blank reports, and I will click on transform data. So most of the things that we are doing today is basically inside the Power Query. Okay. It's loading. Okay, so this is our Power Query. This is the Power Query engine, and if you go to Power BI Excel, it also has the same similar interface. And if you go to Microsoft Fabric environment, the Power Query Online, the interface is not is not different. It's not also different from what you are seeing now. So you can practice this in any of the platform that Microsoft use, that you can use Power Query there. Okay, so now, what exactly are we trying to achieve here is that, okay, I have the first scenario we are going to be looking at is if we go back to our slide, which is the automating file loading. So we want to automate how we can load a file into our Power Query using, what's it called? Using the M code, using an M code to do that. So let's say that you work in an organization, and probably you are using on-prem environment to do your work, and you have a particular folder that you normally put all your files. So there's a folder like this that you normally put your file, and let's say every month there's a new country or new region that is always added to this folder, right? You're always added, and you can see that in this folder we have a lot of different files, like so we have a lot of different files, like test file, PowerPoint, and sales data that we normally have here. So now what we want to do is that we want to load all this data into Power Query using custom function. Now, if someone asks me, maybe for people that have experience, the best approach is to use what? Is to use folder path. Probably put all these put all these file inside the folder, because they have the same structure or the same schema. You put them inside the same folder and use the folder path to append them together and do whatever you want to do. If you have a new file, you put it in the folder and everything will be fine. Yes, that approach also works fine. But there is a disadvantages of using that approach, which I'm going to explain later to us. And I'm going to tell you why using custom function is better than that one. So later on, I'm going to explain that. So we want to load all these files, sales, France, India, UK, USA. We want to load it into Power Query. Then if there's a new data as well, in this folder, we want to automatically see it in our Power Query without doing with a minimal effort, right? That is exactly what we want to achieve. So now I will go back to my Power Query. So in Power Query, what we are going to create is a function. We need to create what? A function, because we are not actually loading the files. So what we are going to so what we are going to do is that we're going to create a function. And to create a function, I'm going to click on New Source. Then I'll click on Blank Query. Okay, please, are we following, everyone? Are we following? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
we
Thank you
are.
for the reaction. Thank you. Okay. So now I'm going to click on blank query. So you can see that I have a query here now. There's nothing showing in the query. So I'm going to click on the advanced. I'm going to click on the. Sorry, just give me a minute, guys. Sorry, please give me a minute. Okay. Sorry, guys. I have to attend to something here. Please, can you guys hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I'm going to click on Advanced Editor. So this is query. What I did earlier is to click on New Source, click on Blank Query, and I'm going to click on Advanced Editor, right? So sorry guys, I will have to be working with the code that I've written already. So probably I will just explain the code to you guys, what the code is all about. So I'm going to clear whatever you see in the advanced editor. I'm going to clear it off. So I'm going to go to this file loader. So I will just explain some of these things for us so that we understand it. So I'm going to paste this code here. So now what is this code doing is that this is where the M code custom function actually plays in, right? So what we want to do here is that we want to write a code, an M code that is going to automatically load those files that we want, right? So we are just saying that file name as text, like, when we are most of it, for example, if you want to create a function in SQL, right? So you write okay what you want to the format of the file. Is it a text? Is it a number? Is it a date? The data type of the file. Then we want to save it as what? As a table, right? So that is what we want to save it as. Then we need to copy the path. So this path is not actually the right path. So I'm going to go and copy the path of my folder. So I will go back to my folder path and okay, so I'm going to right click on edit address. So I'm going to copy this file, the folder path, this folder path. Then I'll come back here and paste the folder path here. So you can see, so this is the folder path. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to what? Is to combine the folder path with the file name. We want to combine what? The folder path with the file name. So let me just copy this. So what we want to do is we want to combine the folder path and the file name. So what is this one doing is that we want to combine the folder path. This is the folder path where our file is. Then the file name, we don't have the file name. If you look at, okay, sorry, can you guys hear me? I think I saw a message around network or something. Okay, you can hear me, can you see my screen as well? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what we want to do is to combine the folder path with the file name. We want to combine them together. So that's exactly what we want to achieve here. So we say combine folder source Excel workbook because that's the file document we want to load. So the file name, what is the file name? The file name are this one, Sales France, Sales India. Those are the file name that we want to bring in. Okay, so now so I will just copy everything here to this place. Then let's go back here and I will paste this here. Okay, so what we are doing next is just to extract the first sheet. So let's assume that the first sheet is where our data is sitting down. In most cases, probably I will even advise that we use a CSV file because a CSV file is always in one sheet. So that you will not, in case maybe you have your data in another sheet, but if you have your data in another sheet, you can just specify the sheet that you have your data on. You understand? You can just specify it. Then promote headers and data type change. These are just normal things that Power Query always do for us by default. So this is what we are doing. So by default, what we are doing is that we are combining the folder part, then the file name. So file name is what we now need now. This file name is what we need. We need it to load all the data that we have in that folder. We need the file name. So how do we now get the file name? So now I'm going to click on done. So let's click on done. So now can you see we now have a custom function. So what we have now is what? Is a custom function. So let me call this FX loader. So let me call it FX loader. So now what we have now is what? Is a function. You can see that it's asking for a parameter, enter parameter, is asking for something. So now this is what? This is a function. This is what, when you create a function in Power Query, this is how the function look like, right? Now, how do we now bring those files into the Power Query, right? How do we bring those files automatically? And maybe let's say there's a new record in the folder part. How do we bring it in? Now, to achieve that, I could have just used enter data, probably say enter data and put the, I should have just used enter data and put the name of the file that I want to load here. But this will not be automatic. So what we want to do is that we want to automate it so that if we have a new file, we don't have to be creating this table manually all the time. So I'm not going to use this method. So I'm going to go to my new source and I'll click on Excel workbook. So what I will do is that I will go to my folder and I'm going to bring in so I'm going to bring in this table list. I'm going to bring in the table list. So I will open the table list. So if you check the table list contains the name of the file, of each of the file. That is what the table list contains. So let's open the table list. Okay, so let's just, I don't know why my Power BI seems slow this morning. Okay, so let's preview the table list. So if you preview the table list, so what we have is what? Sales France, Sales USA, Sales India, Sales UK. Those are the files. Those are the name. Those are the file name. The file name that we have, right? These are the file name. The file name. So I'm going to click on OK. So I'll click on OK. So I'm going to use the first row as header. So So I will use the first row as header. So now what I'm need to do now is that I'm going to invoke this list. So you can see sales France, USA, India, and UK. These are just what we have here. So I'm going to invoke the custom function on this list. So I'm going to click on add column. Then I like this column, this list column, and I'm going to click on invoke custom function. I'll click on invoke custom function. Then I'm going to click on function query. I'll click on FS loader, which is my function, the custom function that I created earlier. So you can see file name is list. So I'm going to click on OK. So let's see what is going to happen. So we have the FS loader here. So I'm going to expand this. Probably I'm going to disable the use original column name as prefix. Why is this loading? Loading column names. Okay. So I'm going to click on OK. So now can you see? We now have what? We have all the files that is in those. You can see if I click on this list now, or sorry, let me click on the country. You can see France, India, United Kingdom, and USA. So you can see all the files automatically being into our Power Query. Now you can delete the list. You can delete this first column. So let's remove it. If you want to do your transformation, you can do your transformation, change your data type to whatever you want to do that. You can do that. So now the beauty of this thing is that, or let me say where it is efficient is this. So where it is efficient is that if you, let's go back to our folder part. So now let's say that there is a new file. So let's say there is a new file. So let me copy this and duplicate it. So let me rename this one as, let me call it Kenya sales. Kenya sales. Right. So I'm going to open this file. So let me open this file. So let's just say that there is a new file added to this folder. Okay. So I'm going to change the name of the country. So let's say that this is a country. So I'm going to change the name of the country. So I'm going to change it to Kenya. So let's say that the figures, we want to change the figures as well. So we're just going to use a random figures here. So I'm going to say round between, let's say round between 300 and 1,500. So we want to change the figures. So I'm going to automatically, okay. So I'll copy these and go to paste special and put the values and click on OK. Okay, so now we have the Kenya files that we just added to the folder part. So let me save and close. Now another thing, what I need to do is that, so now let me go back to my Power Query so that you guys will understand something here. If you click on the country column, you can see there's nothing, we don't have the Kenya file yet. And if I refresh, so I want someone to answer the question now. If I refresh this file, I won't see the country yet. You can see. So who can tell me why is it that we are not seeing the country in this place? Because automatically we're supposed to see the country Kenya in this file with what I just did. So who can tell us why is it that we don't have the country here? Does anybody have an idea why it is not automated? So let me know whether we are following. Anyone?
Okay, I would say because our list folder does not have Kenya in it.
Exactly. God bless you. You are following. So it means that because the list does not have the country name, the Kenya country name in it. So what we need to do is that we need to go and update the list. So that is why I actually doesn't want to create that list within the Power Query, because I won't really be able to update it. So what I just need to come and do here is to come and update the list. So what I will just do is that let me just copy copy the name here and put the name here. So Kenya sales. Then just make sure that you save it and close. And okay, so let's go back to Power Query now. So let's check country. Okay, it has not. So let's just refresh. Okay, so let's check it now. So you can see Kenya. So you can see that we now have the Kenya sales here. If you scroll down, you will see that we now have the Kenya sales here automatically. Now, the beauty of this thing, or the part that I even like about this process, is not this part, because this part you can actually do it with normal your folder part. So let's rename this one and call it all sales. So let's call it all sales. All sales. So this part is actually what you can actually do with your normal folder and it works fine. So let's close and apply. I'm going to close and apply now. So if I close and apply, so apply change. So let's close and apply. Let's just give it some minutes to load. Okay, so now you can see that we have what's it called? We have all our sales data here without having any problem. Now, the beauty of using the M code is this: we are still going to customize the function that we wrote earlier on. Now, if someone tamper with any of the files in this folder, maybe, or let's say that the file is corrupt, or maybe let's say that by mistakenly someone just delete, or maybe you even just mistakenly delete the file, or something happened with the file. Let's just say we delete USA. So let's say we delete USA by mistake, or the file is corrupted. So let's go back to the Power BI and let's refresh. So let's refresh. Now you will see this error. Sometimes you will just open your file or your report and you start seeing some errors. Maybe the file is corrupted, or maybe a particular file is deleted from that folder. And this happens when you are using folder part, and that is where custom functions play better than the folder part. Now you can see this process that now if you try to open this, you will start looking for, what is causing this error to happen, what is happening and all. You have to start going back to go and figure out what the issue is, right? So, but now we are going to customize the function that I wrote earlier in such a way that even if there is an error in our file, right? Even if there is an error, it will not throw error for us. Even though there may be a file is deleted or a file is corrupted, it will not show an error in the Power BI interface for us. So let's see what we can do here. So I'm going to go back to the Power Query. So I'll go back to the Power Query. Okay, so what I will do now is that there's a function. We use the function so we call it error handling. So, if there is an error, we want to handle the error. We want to handle how to handle the error. So we handle the error. I'm going to click on the FS folder. So what we are just going to do is that we are modifying this function. So we are modifying this function. So let me just, I will just paste this function here. So let me explain the function. Just like everything else we did earlier, the file name, file name is what we want to change dynamically, right? And we are saving it, we are calling it a text, and we are returning table. That is what we want to achieve. Folder parts, right? So now we need to change this folder path because this folder path is not correct. So I will just come here. Let me copy this folder path. So let me copy this folder path. So I will change it to this folder path. So folder path. So now what we are trying to do here is that try to load file. We say source equals to try. If the Excel will book, okay, so we are just trying to say this one is still like concatenate, like we are trying to concatenate this. But what we are trying to do here is that we are saying that it should check if successful. So if the source data, this source data that we have here, if it has an error, can you see source data has error, then return what? Empty table for us. It should return empty rows or empty table. That is what it's saying. Else, let the sheet, whatever it is inside the sheet, it should return whatever it has inside it back. So now what we just did here is to undo the error that, okay, if there is a file that is corrupted or it does not see a particular file, just return empty or return none for us. So that is exactly what we are just modifying here. So I'm going to delete all this one. I will delete everything here. Then I'm going to click on done. So now let's go back to our all sales data. Now in our all sales data, now can you see, instead of having error, we don't have error again. What we have is that we have what? Null. Can you see? It is null that we are. Now if I try to load this data and I click on put and apply, it won't show that error that we have earlier before. Even if you delete any file from your folder or remove anything from this folder, it will not show an error for us. It won't show an error in the Power BI interface. I hope that is clear. Is that clear? Is that clear? It seems some of us are lost too. Is it clear? Are we clear? Oh, okay. Okay, so let's proceed. Let's move on. All right, let's move on. Okay, so that is for the auto file load. So now let's move on to let's see how we can, let's move on to the other part, which is so let's move on to the other part, which is the dynamic table filtering. So let's see how we can dynamically, filter our database as well. So I have this database. So let's query this database and see the database. I'm going to change this database to user market. So let's quickly look at this database. So select all from dev dot transaction. Let's check the table name. So let's try and load this one. Okay, so we have this record, and you can see now that we have about 269,000 records. So sometimes, if you are working with big organization, you are working with, a large data set. So your data might be large. So you might not want to actually consume all the record that you have here. You might not want to consume all the record, but probably you just want to load some certain information, or you just want to load maybe based on a particular product, or maybe on a particular customer, or maybe on a particular store ID. or even on a specific date, right? So you don't want to load the entire data into your Power BI. So we can use the custom function. We can use the custom function to achieve that. We can use the custom function to achieve that. So let's go back to our Power Query. So we'll go back to Power Query. So we'll go back to Power Query. Okay, so what we want to do now is to use our function, which is the filter function. So I will just copy this. So I will explain what this function is actually doing. I will explain what the M code is doing. So I'm going to click on new source. Like I said, if you want to create a function or if you want to create a function in Power Query, so click on new source, blank query, then click on advanced editor. Click on advanced editor. I'm sorry guys, am I communicating? Are we following? Am I communicating? Can you guys hear me very well? Am I audible enough? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So yeah. Thank you guys. Okay. So so we are going to click on advanced editor. Then let's clear everything here. So we're going to clear it. I'm going to paste this record. So what we are doing here is that we want to input the product ID. So probably we can do by store ID, right? So we can do by store ID, or you can do by product ID as well. So we want to say input product ID as number, because product ID is what? Is an integer in our database, right? Is an integer in our database. If you check here, it's an integer. So we want to say input product ID as number, then the result should be what? Should be table, right? That should be the, if you know, maybe for some of us that know SQL very well, if you have done what's it called? We have two type of functions in SQL, UDF. So we have the scalar and we have the table. So when you do table is when it's going to return the entire record of the table for you, or you understand? So something similar to that. That is what we are also doing here as well, returning the table. Now connect to SQL Server and database. So this is our source, which is my server. Maven market equals to source is my what? This is my database. This is my database. Now we say that what? Get data from schema dev. So I have different schema. If you look at my database, you will see that I have different schema. We have the dev schema, the staging schema, and I think okay. So we have the staging schema and the dev schema alone. So we are specifying on. Sorry, I think someone is trying to say something.
Hello, sir. I can see your screen.
Oh. Please, can anyone see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Probably it's your network. You might want to. Okay, let me stop sharing and share again. So let me stop sharing and share again. So can you see my screen now? Can anyone see my screen now?
I can't.
Okay, what about now?
I cannot.
Can anyone see my screen now? Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Oh, okay. The person Ife, can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see it now.
All right. Okay, that's good. Okay, so please, if you cannot see it, you can maybe join and join back. I will leave the call and join back. Okay, so what we want to do is that we want to, filter data from the database directly without writing SQL query, right? So what we are saying is that we are inputting the product ID as number, returning it as a table. Our source data is, the database. Maven market is the Maven market is this source is my server, is my SQL server, and this one is my database. Then the schema that I want to extract the data from dev transaction equals to market, maybe market, the schema name, item that I want to extract, the transaction table. So this is what this line is talking about. Then filter data by the, it's supposed to be by the product ID, by the product ID. So we say that filter row, select row, dev transaction, each line of the transaction where we have product ID equals to this parameter. So this is like a parameter here now. It's like a parameter. So now let's click on done. So let's click on done. So click on done. So now let's call this FX filter. FX filter. So let's call it FX filter. Now what we want to do here now is that we want to so we want to impute, because what we want to actually achieve here is that we just want to extract a particular product. Let's say that maybe you just want to, or it can be anything. It can be date. It can be maybe by store ID or by anything. So now we just want to, let's say that you want to create a report and your boss said that please just give me a report for product ID 4 or product ID 10 or something. So let's say for product ID 4, we are going to impute the product ID. Input product ID, and I'm going to click on invoke. So can you see that now? Let's go to the product ID column. So let's go to the product ID column. So it's loading. Since my Power BI is a bit slow, Power BI is a bit slow this morning. I don't know why. Let's just hold on for some minutes. I don't know why. My system seems so slow this one. I don't know why. Okay, it has loaded. So now if you click on the product ID, right, you will observe that we only have what? Product ID 4 alone. Can you see? We only have what? Product ID 4 alone. Now you can change, you can go back to the filter if you want to change the, if you want to change the product ID that you want. But if you try to click on it again now, what it's going to do for you is that it's going to create another table for you. You understand? It's going to create another table for you. But you can see that this one is product ID 7. You can see. But in a scenario where you don't want to be creating different tables, you just want one table. How do you go about that? Should I ask it as a question? So maybe I should ask a question. So let's say that I want to see multiple product ID, right? Or more, I want to filter the database by multiple product ID. So who can tell us, what do you think we can do? Anyone? What do you think we can do based on what we have done in the past in this class? Yeah. What do you think we can do? Anyone?
You can create a list.
A list, yeah.
For the product ID.
For the product ID, yeah. God bless you. Yeah. So we can actually create a list to automate it, because that would be one of the best options to do. You can create a list. So now you can go to your database. Probably you can just do to know, okay, what is, so let's just say select distinct product ID from dev.transaction. So you can see, so these are the product ID. Probably you want to just check order by, so let's say order by product ID. So you can see these are the product ID, right? why is it taking time? Other brand. What happened? So, okay, still running. Okay. So it's going to give us the list of all the product ID that we have here. So let's just create a list because that will be the best way in case we want to dynamic change anything. So let's just create a list. So I'm going to click on Excel workbook. So let's create a list. I don't know why my system is so slow this morning. It's not like this before. Okay. I don't know. Okay, so let's create a list. I'm going to open an Excel workbook. Okay, it's open already. Okay, so let's create a list. So you can see. So let's just say product ID. So let's just put a random product ID here. So let's say product ID 7, 29 or whatever product 67, 89, and let's say 90 or let's say 1,200. Right? Okay, so let's just save this one. So let's save. I'll click on File. So let's save it. You can save it in any folder or any place, or you can even have this list on your database as well. It's not necessary you should create an Excel workbook. You can have it on your database. You don't have to have it here. You can have it on your database and connect to that list. So what we just need to be doing is to update the list. So let's say products list. So we call it product list. So let's go back to our Power Query. No, I'm not supposed to even close that one. Okay, let me open it back. Product list. So let's go back to our Power Query. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to bring in the Excel workbook. So like I said, you don't necessarily need to create an Excel workbook, but you can also have it on your database as well. But let's just use Excel for practice. So I'm going to click on sheet 1. You can see the product ID that we have 729 and all. So I'll click on OK. So we have the product ID. So now you can see that this first one that I have is only featuring for one product. And like what I want to also do is that what if we want to do dynamic, like we want to have many products at the same time? We don't just want one product. How can we do it? So I'm going to click on cancel ID. I will go to add column, then I'll click on invoke custom function. So I'm going to say invoke custom function. So it's asking me for the function query. I'll click on filter, then I'll click on OK. So continue. And I'm going to click on ignore privacy level, and I'll click on save. So let's just wait for some minutes. So please, if you have a question while this is loading, please you can ask your question while this is loading. If you have any questions, okay, it has loaded. So let's expand this. So I'm going to click on OK. So you can see, basically we can delete this one. So let's delete this first column, remove. So now you can see now that we have different record. You can see product ID 729 to 120. If you go to your list file, and let's say we want to add, let me show you again. You will see that here we only have 120, 1,207. And so if you want to delete anyone or you want to add anyone, you can do that on your list. And it's going to bring those records for you. It's going to bring those files record for you automatically. So this is how you can actually you can filter your database without writing SQL scripts at all. You're not writing any SQL scripts here. You just filter the table based on what? On your M code that you have written. And the advantage of this is that it helps you to reduce the number of records you are bringing into your database, into your Power BI memory. And it also optimizes your performance, your Power BI performance. You understand? So it optimizes your Power BI performance and all. So if I go to my list now, let's say that I want to remove this 1,200, and let's just save this file, and let's go back to our Power Query. So let me just refresh. So let's refresh this. You will see that 1,200 will no longer be available again. So that is how you can use M code to do some of these tasks that we normally do. Okay, so let's move on to the last part of this M code before we move to the parameter part. So the last one is I think I like the last one very well. I like it a lot because it's okay. So let's just let this one to load. Let's see. Okay. I don't know. My system is slow this morning, and I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised. Okay. So please, if you have any question, while my system. So if you have question, you can ask question. No. The system is very slow.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Folorunso.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yeah, so my question is not actually related to this M code thing.
Okay.
So I want to actually appreciate you for this lesson. Please, I learned a lot. My question is about collaboration and Power BI. So there are instances where you have to work with other BI developers,
Okay.
right, on the same Power BI dashboard.
Okay.
So this is to maybe make your work faster and
Okay.
get it done at the appropriate time. So sometimes the only thing I've done in the past is using Power Apps to integrate different dashboard and bit on different desktop. So when you export to the same service, I tend to merge it and merge your models on the dashboard itself. But I don't know, is there any way you can collaborate like on the desktop itself? Like you're doing something somewhere, someone is working in Enugu, one is working in West Africa, something like that
Okay.
on the same
Yeah.
dashboard.
Okay. So I will just be straightforward. It's possible. Yeah. Power BI has really involved a lot. So there is now version control in Power BI. You can do CI/CD with Power BI now. So you can collaborate. 2 people or 3 people can be working on different files. You can be in Enugu and someone is in Kenya, someone is in Canada. You can do that. So there is a section coming up next week. I think one of my boss, I don't know whether he's still on the call, but he joined us earlier. But he's going to have a section next week on Git, version control, Power BI, how you can integrate all those things together. So probably you can reach out to me on LinkedIn after the session. I'm going to share the meeting links with you. I've attended some of those sessions in the past, but you can also attend it. So they'll definitely answer your questions and all. So, but you can actually do version control or collaborate with people with Power BI desktop. Yeah, it's possible.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, so let's proceed. Let's move on. So we can see now that the product that I removed is no longer here again. So that is how we can dynamic filter we can dynamic filter our table, and it helps our performance as well. So let's quickly look at the last function, mcode function, that we'll be talking about today, which is the calculation part. So which is the calculation part, dynamic calculated column, how you can dynamically create a calculation. So I will go back to my Power Query. So I will go to new source. So I'll go to new source and I'll click on SQL Server. So let's copy this, and I'm going to put the server name. So I'll click on import mode. Okay, so I'm going to click on, so let's bring in this table, maybe markets. So we are going to be using the product table. So we are going to click on OK. So let's refresh. Okay. So now, what we want to do here, please let's pay attention. Please let's pay attention. It's very, very important that we pay attention and we look at things together. So now we have this product retail price and product cost. Now, maybe due to the economy, due to the changes in economic factors like, the price of oil has gone up or it has come down, or political movement, or because of natural disasters, or it can even be because of war that is happening, in different countries of the world. Now, these economic factors is now affecting our sales, or maybe our manager just said that, Amzat, okay, so can you increase the price of our retail price, which is our selling price? Can you increase it to 30%? Can you increase the product cost to 20%? Meaning that the product cost will be 20%. The cost of getting our goods is 20% increase. And when we want to do our sales, we want to set it at 30% increase. Now, what we want to do is that, because next month things can change and your boss can say, Amzat, this price has changed again. Maybe the price has come lower. I want to see the changes, when the price come lower. How can you do? So now what we want to do is that to create an effective function that can do this thing for us automatically. We don't want to be doing any manual labor. That, okay, anytime our boss said, change the price, you have to come again, probably create a new column, right? And you have to recalculate everything. You don't want to be doing that. What we want to do is that anytime there's a change in the price, you just go to your custom function, just modify it, and that is all, and you will get your result. So let's see. So this is the original file. You can see the original file is this. We have product retail price and product cost. Can you see? Product retail price and product cost. So what we want to do now is to create a function that is going to give us 30% increase of this retail price and 20% increase of this product price. Now, what we want to do here, we are not creating additional column. What we want to do is to overwrite what we have here. If you want to create additional column as well, you can do that. That's like a transformation process anyway. So you can also do that. So let's see how we can do that. I'm going to click on new source, blank query. Then I will go to my function here. So this is when you want to do an overwriting. Is this overwriting? Okay, yeah, when you want to overwrite. So when you want to overwrite the table information, if you want to overwrite the table information, so I'll go to advanced editor. So I'm going to delete everything here, then I will paste this. So now, what is this function telling us? So what this function or this M code is doing is this. We want to transform the column. So input is what? Our input is what? Is table. What we want to input is what? Is table. Is not number. Is not a text. Is not a date. What we want to input is what? Is a table. Now, what it's doing is that in the function we want to create, we want to input a table. Now, it's not saying that if you see that table, look at product cost, look at product retail price. If you see them, now on each of the row, right? Each of the row, you see this underscore sign here. It represents this underscore that you are seeing here. It represents the value of each of the cell in the product cost or product retail price. This underscore here, that is what it represents. Now we are saying that each value plus what? The value here multiplied by 0.2, which is going to give us 20%, then add it with the additional value and return what? A data type of number. The same thing we do it here. Each value, the underscore here represents value. Please, in case you don't know what it means, the underscore here represents the value. So the value, it can be 0.6, it can be 1.3, it can be 4.8. This is what, so the underscore here represents what? The value. Now we're not saying plus what? The value multiplied by what? 0.3. So the result of this is going to give us 30%, then add it with the additional value, and you have what? Your 30% increase. So that is what we are doing here. Then I'm going to click on done. So we're going to click on done. Now, so we call this one FX calculation, right? So FX calculation. Now we are going to do what? This is the original table, def product. So let me call this one original table. So this is the original table. Original product. So this is the original table, right? So I'll go back to my calculation. Then it's asking me for the table. So I'm going to input the table, original product rather. So we want to input the original product here. So I'm going to click on what? Invoke. So let's see what is going to happen here. So let's see. So can you see now? We have what? 3 point. We did not create additional column. We are not creating any additional column. What we did is that the transformation happens on the columns. You can see we have 3.705. If you go to the original product, how much do we have there? How much do we have there? We have 2.85. And let's do the calculation together so that you understand what I'm saying. So let's do the calculation together. So that one is 30%. So what we are just saying is that we're saying, well, 30%, that is 2.85 multiplied by 0.3. So it gives us 0.855 plus what? Plus 2.85 equals to what? 3.705. So can you see what we have here? If we go to the where we have the results, we have what? 3.705, and that is what we have in our calculation here. So you can see now that we can dynamically create, a calculation here. Now let's say that tomorrow, your boss said that this product retail price has changed to 40%. You don't need to come and start doing any calculation here. What you just need to do is go back to your calculation, go back to your advanced editor, just modify the value. So let's say we want to change it to 0.4. Just change it to 0.4 and click on done. Right? And click on done. You can even use this to do a kind of what if analysis. You understand? Maybe when you want to do what if analysis, you can do it in Power BI as well, but maybe you prefer to do it in okay. The only way that if you do it here, it will not be dynamic. Okay, so that's why it's better in the Power BI interface. Okay, so yeah. So, but if you change the value, if you come back here, you will see that by default, can you see it has changed from 3.70 to what 3.99. So you can see how the M code function can actually help us to do things with a minimal effort. You are not even creating additional column. But in a scenario where you want to create additional column, you can actually create that. If you want to create additional column, you can create that. So probably at the end of the class, I don't know. If anybody is interested, I can give you all the M code that I'm using in this class. So I can give you the M code in this class. So I can drop if you want to create an additional extra column, so you can use this function or this code to do that one, to create additional column. So it's possible to create additional or extra column with it. Okay, so that is that on the M code part. So the last part that we'll be looking at, I think we have just some few minutes left. Yeah. So the last part is the parameter. I'm very sure that some of us are very familiar. And if you look at some of these functions that we created, if you look at them, they have a very minimal, what is it called? Processes that we use to run them, because they are just all their functions or everything is in the code already. So when you are even loading this table into your Power BI, it will be effective. You understand? It will run faster than when you are applying your steps, everything on that same table. You understand? So it is more efficient like this. So now let's look at the parameter, which is the last part, and we'll call it a day. So for the parameter, let's say this original product, I'm going to create a new query. So you can see I want to create a new query. So I want to create what? I want to create a new query. So I'm going to remove duplicates. So I'm removing duplicates from here. Removing duplicates. Then I will go to let me go back home. Please, can you guys see my screen? Please, just to confirm you guys can see.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Fatima. So I'll go to my list, go home, and I want to create a parameter. So I'll click on manage parameter, and I'll click on new parameter. So I'll click on new parameter. So the parameter will be what? Input brand name. Input brand name. Required type is what? It should be any. Suggested value should be query. Then I'm going to put in what? Product brand. Then current value should be what? So let's set up current value is let's say high top. That's the current value. High top. So high top is just from the list that we have here. High top. So let's click on this. So we have a parameter. Now I will go back to my original product table. So I will go to this product brand, and I will go to filter equals to. So filter equals to. So parameter input brand name, and I'll click on OK. So you can see now at this moment we have what? Product name. You can see we only have iTop alone. Now the beauty of parameter is this, that you might enjoy parameter over M code, is that let's load this data into Power BI. So let's load it into Power BI. Okay, so now we have loaded the table into Power BI. So so let's go to table. So let's go to the original table where we run the parameter, where we have the parameter. So now you can see now that all the input is what is iTop. You can see all the input is iTop. So the advantages of parameter is that you can change your parameter. If you don't want iTop, you can go to your Power BI interface. You don't have to go to Power Query. You can go to your Power BI interface and change. So let's say that I want to see golden. I don't want iTop. I want to see golden. Now, if I click on OK and I go back to my, let's apply change. Okay, sorry, it's still loading. Let's just give it some. Okay, so while it's loading, we are almost done. So while it's loading, if you have question, you can drop your question. If you want to ask question as well, you can also ask. Okay, so it has loaded. So now you can see now that we have. Let me say cancel. Now you can see now that it has changed from iTop to golden. So you can see that you can with parameter you can make use of parameter to change the value. You can see that it has changed from iTop to golden, and this can help your data. And maybe if you want to do a kind of filtering, right, and you want to use parameter, you can use parameter to filter your data. So basically, these are the things that you can make use of using parameter and M code. Like I said earlier, the advantages of all this function is that at the end of the day, um, at the end of the day, the parameter can help us to load data. It can help us to load relevant data or relevant record that are specific to what we want. You can use it to automate, to do a kind of automation, your ETL process. When you want to create a calculation that you don't have to be doing calculate transformation all the time, you can make use of the custom function to achieve that. And when you are looking at maybe interactive control as well, you can use your parameter to also to also achieve all this. So I believe that personally, the M code functions are actually good. If we can try to adopt them, whenever we are doing our work, either personal or maybe organization work, it will definitely help you, especially in terms of performance and all. So I think that is all I have for us today. And I think I really appreciate everyone's time, for joining this session. I really appreciate your time. So please, if you have any questions before we call it a day, Fatima, I think you have the floor now. If there's any question I would like to ask, from the user group and all. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Folorunso Ajala, for this session. It was such an insightful and practical session. Is there any question? Okay. Yeah, there's one question. Someone shake their hand.
Okay, I think one hand is up. Someone hand is up. Jamie.
Hi.
Yeah, good morning.
So my question is, what's the difference between Power BI and Tableau?
The difference is that there is no, yeah, well, both of them they are both visualization tools, or they are both BI tools. So if you ask me the difference, probably they are owned by different companies. I think those are the things that I can say. Power BI is owned by Microsoft, and I think Tableau is owned by Sales. Is it Salesforce, or I don't know I can't really remember the name of the organization that owns them. But I know the difference is that Power BI is owned by Microsoft and Tableau is owned by Salesforce. So, but in terms of, or maybe in terms of the UI tool might be different. But when it comes to the end goal is the same thing. Is to, to visualize, to create reports for the end users, for your stakeholders, and all. So there is not much difference. If you know Power BI, if you know Tableau, is good. So any one of them is good. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if I answered your question, or if anybody know the difference between Power BI and Tableau, you can also assist. Any other question? Any other question? Okay. Fatima, I think we don't really have much questions from everyone. From I think maybe they understand the section very well, so that's fine. If you don't have any questions, then I think we can